Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and I'm here to help you, support you, and hopefully unlock your potentiality to be the best possible version of you. Because when you are that person, you transform the world, my friend, and I want to help you in any way that I can. Now, I just had this thought, so I'm just jumping back on to this podcast right now. So last weekend, we had our Mind Mastery call, okay? So as you know, I personally coach you twice per month on a live call. You get to speak to me, we get to hang out, I get to answer your questions and give you the solutions you need. And we had a very special guest on this masterclass that we are running. One of my wonderful, most favorite people in the world, Alyssa Melhorn. I mean, she is absolutely awesome. We met her in Austin, been best friends ever since. We hang out all the time. I've gone to her retreats, and it's just really, really cool to connect with her. And one of the questions from our Mind Mastery members was really about dealing with people, okay? So like dealing with what we could say are those energy vampires. They kind of drain your energy. They kind of take and consume your happiness, whether that be that boss in your life who is like really, really mean, who every time you enter the room, your just whole physical body and your emotional state of mind just brings you down, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I've got to deal with this person today. Or maybe it's your colleague, or whether it be your parents, your sibling, and even sometimes it could be our partner, okay? We can get trained up. If you're in a negative state all the time, you're going to start to associate with anyone around you, okay? But it doesn't have to be that way, of course. And in this context, I want you to maybe consider someone or a situation which triggers you, ultimately. Okay, so every time you see this person, you start to feel bad. Now, in a lot of these episodes, I've taught you how to do that, and specifically in Mind Mastery, we have some great techniques for it. But I found it really fascinating because this question, obviously, is a common question which gets asked. And what I found interesting is when Alyssa said something, it makes total sense in what she's saying. So every time you go ahead and see that person, your energy drops, okay? And it can be in different ways. So you could be triggered through anger. It could be triggered through stress. It could be triggered even from like your energy just dropping. It could be triggering even low self-esteem, fear of failure, fear of what that person's going to say or how you're going to act and react around that person, which causes you not to be able to operate from your potentiality. So when that happens, it becomes a vicious cycle. Every time you see that person, it happens again and again and again, and you start to get this psychological trigger that every time you see that person, it causes you to feel, let's just say, bad. Whatever the emotion is, whatever the mindset is, it makes you feel bad. It doesn't make you feel great. And that starts a sequence, a strategy. It creates a habit and a pattern that then you are always programmed to act and react that way. Now, what I always suggest is obviously dealing with your own energy. Okay, so number one, you must own your territory. Anywhere you go, anywhere, any situation, any place, I believe that you should have all the resources on the inside to deal with it. And ultimately, when you're unable to control the situation, I urge you to change yourself. I really believe that you should come from a place of power where you are rather just a product of your environment, a product of life. Instead, you choose to allow life, your environment, to be a product of what you choose to create. I know it can be hard sometimes, and that is why this podcast is here, to help you in any way it possibly can to get you to where you need to be. So with that in mind, I always go down the mindset of, okay, how do I want to act and react? I could make the unconscious transformation by figuring out the core issue, the strategy, and then creating my own strategy which actually works for me, still remaining safe and in peak state. And it works, right? But a nice little twist to this is when Alyssa said that it's so important to consider what in that person is triggering you. Because you can remain protected. You can change how you act and react to that person. And it works. Like, if you get the strategy and you start to change it, you will act and react exactly how you want to. But I really like that twist of kind of figuring out what specifically is that person triggering within you. You see, sometimes we can just deal with the effect of like how I want to act differently. But let's go ahead and deal with a bit of a cause here. Like, what is the trigger which is causing you to act in that way? That means we're not only changing our strategy, not only changing our reaction, but we're really dealing with whatever the thing is which is triggering you. So we will have these protective mechanisms. So, like I said, I've got loads within Mind Mastery, and I urge you to obviously join if you can, because we have things like the second skin process, the swish pattern, we have the some modality changes, we have the integrations, we have all the crazy cool processes which just work really, really quickly. And of course, just to give you another tip, just like to consider something that you can take away, even if you are not going to become a Mind Master member now, I want you to maybe consider like rehearsing how you want to act in that situation, because ultimately you're pre-teaching the system, okay? So if you want a quick, simple strategy that you can apply in yourself, you want to be able to hallucinate a good, 21 times in your mind of seeing yourself every time that person comes into a room as if you're seeing that you on a movie screen, and see yourself acting and reacting calmly or however you want to be. And what that does, it just pre-teaches your unconscious mind, and it starts to teach your unconscious mind the correct strategy. But I really believe that you should be dealing with the root cause as well. And if you want help with that, all you have to do is go to, I believe, in fact, if you just go to josephclough.com, on my homepage there is like a banner to get to the root cause of your issue. It's an online coaching session that I run, and it just gets you there, and that way you can deal with what needs to be dealt with, okay, when it comes to like the real core issue, because usually we would just work on the symptoms. That is entirely for free. It lasts probably about an hour and 15 minutes, so it is a very much an in-depth training of uncovering and getting the awakening that you need to get to the root cause of your issue, so you no longer have to work on your symptoms ever again. So that's another freebie there for you if you just want to take advantage of that, invest that hour or so, hour and 15 minutes of your time to really upgrade your thinking and get yourself to where you want to be. Or you can do the other just example, as I said, hallucinate in your mind in a dissociative way. That's really important, as if you're watching yourself on a movie screen, and that will start to pre-teach how you want to act. And by the way, another little sidestep hint here. When I say to be dissociated, so in other words, seeing yourself on the screen, what that does at a neurological level, on an unconscious level, it takes away negative emotions, because you're seeing yourself, you're not in the situation. So that is the real reason why I always say that, which I don't think I've always said, but it's really, really powerful. In fact, I've used that process to let go of phobias in about 5-10 minutes, if you do it in the right way. So that's going to like really take away the emotion, the sting of a situation, and then you can pre-teach your unconscious mind. But it's really important to ask yourself, what in this situation, in this person, is causing me to be triggered? Just ask that question. When you think about that in your mind, what within that person, is it in their voice? Is it what they're saying? Is it in their physiology? Is it something, a conclusion that you are making? In other words, like a judgment about the situation, about yourself, about the person, that is causing you to be triggered. Because you can have the protective mechanisms, but you might as well just go deeper into it and just make a deeper change by figuring out what in that person is causing you to be triggered to feel a certain way. Because you are simply reacting to something. That's all it is. And it could be as simple as the tone of their voice. So let's just say, for an example, let's go a bit out there. Maybe I mean, I'm not saying that it's true. I mean, there's just like a random example which just popped into my mind. Maybe their tone comes in a certain way, or a look that they give you, which reminds you of a teacher when you were younger, or a parent when you were being scolded, and unconsciously it regresses you. Even if you're not aware of it consciously, it regresses you back to that state, and you're like feeling inferior to the person. I mean, it could even be just on a contextual level that the boss, whether he or she is even great, they could be a perfect boss, but because in a contextual level they are perceived as higher, being your boss, it can put you in that inferior level. So maybe that could be the trigger within you, like in an unconscious or subconscious way, which is causing you to feel that way. So discover it. Ask yourself these questions. I know for a fact questions will transform your life. If you consider everything that I do, they are thought-provoking questions or mindsets which make you think, right? So simply, when I'm working within mind mastery, when people are asking me questions, I'm almost asking them questions to get the unconscious solution that we need. It's conversational change, and that's why you can change within a second, because one new epiphany, one new awakening transforms. So ask yourself questions, okay? What is it within this person which is causing me to be triggered? Is it something they say? Is it something they do? Is it how they say it? Is it how they're standing? Is it the look they're giving? Is it the contection? That's not even a word, I don't think. The contextualized aspect of that situation, which is causing you to react that way. Because if you get clear on that and then get that strategy to really retrain your mind, then you're making a clean transformation. And I thought that was really fabulous as a way of thinking. What is the thing which is triggering me right here? So I hope you get value out of that little tip. Of course, on the call, we went crazy deep on like really getting the protection that we need in any situation. And of course, if you ever do join Mind Mastery, it is in the replay section. So you can always get access to that. And within that, there's a really cool process to help in this situation. But either way, there's a few options that you can work with this. Number one, consider what is triggering you. What specifically is it? Number two, you can rehearse in your mind how you want to be. Do it, and I kind of say 21 times, but do it until you feel so much better about this situation. And number three, go ahead, you can always join the free coaching class, which gets you to the root cause of your issues, which is going to be really how that means you don't have to work on symptoms ever again. So within that, there are many different options, many different ways that you can begin to transform your life when it comes to people triggering you and causing you to feel bad or feel stressed or feel doubtful within your capabilities. And when you handle that, you then become more unlimited than ever before. So have the most wonderful day, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Many thanks, and goodbye.